Good morning. Welcome to our breakfast event and your breakfast event. My name's Karen Williams and I'm thrilled that you're joining us this morning. I know that you're all jumping on. It's 7:30 a.m. It's cold outside in Melbourne and I'm hoping that you're tucked up somewhere or maybe you're out on your walk. If you are, well done. I'm so thrilled to be with you this morning talking about our topic, how to have the courage to really be seen. So those of you who are here for the first time, as I said, my name's Karen Williams. I'm a coach, transformational coach and trainer. I work with women in leadership and management and women who are really passionate about leading their own lives. So I've been coaching women over the last 20 years and I've been on my own personal journey for longer than that. So I've got lots to share with you and no doubt you'll have some questions and things to share with me as well. I also work with leaders and teams in organisations, helping them build trust and working better together. So that's a real privilege and I draw on my background as a coach and a trainer, but also my work in the justice system and helping people communicate and have difficult conversations. So it's my pleasure and privilege to be with you. Thank you for joining me. I'm excited about this conversation. For those of you who are coming back from maybe last time or sometime over the last couple of months you've been joining our webinars, welcome to you. And thank you for your comments. We've been receiving such beautiful comments about what these webinars have meant to you, how they've supported you, the insights that you've gained, and also how you're building on each one. A few people have come back to me and said, I love how they're building on each one. And is that something that you're doing, Karen? Karen, I'm like, no, that's because of you. Because these webinars are inspired by your questions and your thoughts and what you've been sharing with me. And I love that. Because one of the things that I love the most is a collaborative experience, a co-creative experience. You bring your best, I bring my best, and there's no limit to what we can create together. So let's get started on this topic of what it is to really be seen. What does that actually mean? One of the things that inspired for me for this topic is the courage that it takes to actually just be ourselves and be real and be imperfect. There's so many times over the past that I've tried to be something else, tried to be something that somebody wanted me to be, and it didn't go well. You know, it took me a while, maybe sometimes months or years to discover that that's what I was doing. But every time I come back to myself, there was more clarity, more inner confidence, more certainty about what my next step forward was. One of the things I shared with you before we get into our topic this morning, one of the things I wanted to share with you is why I'm doing these webinars and why I do what I do. I'm such a stand for women empowering themselves because of the ripple effect that we can create in the world. I love women and I love men just as much, so there's no disconnection there for me. But creating a community of women who are self-empowered, who are doing the work on themselves, where they get to that place where they're leading themselves. My leadership excellence framework starts with leading self, and when women are doing that and then coming together and collaborating, I have just a great imagination of what that can provide for the world. So that's my stand and one of the reasons why I'm providing this work for you, so that you can dial in from the comfort of wherever you are and learn some new tools and go away and implement them. So I'm passionate about bringing women together to create that, and I'll share a little bit about that later today about how you might do that even more going forward. So just let me know in the chat box that you're here, thumbs up, some hellos, that you can hear me and we're connected. Georgie's here as always. So hi Georgie, good morning to you.
Welcome everybody. I look forward to your questions and comments. We do have a few hellos.
Great. Hello, thank you. So what does it mean to really be seen? What does that actually feel like? About 8 months ago, a leader came to me to work with me. She was looking for some help. She was very experienced in her work, very well respected in her industry, locally and globally. Really looked to by so many people for leadership in her field, but also in working through difficult situations. But she came to me because she was frustrated and felt like she was holding herself back. She was one of a group of men in the leadership team, and while she loved working with those people, she felt like she was holding her voice back, because anytime she felt like she tried to step forward or express her thoughts maybe through emotion, she felt like that wasn't wasn't very welcomed, or that she didn't know really how to present herself in a way that felt good to her and was communicating the message that she wanted to communicate and had them hear her in the way that she wanted to be heard. So she was frustrated, disappointed in some ways, and also unsure of how to step forward. Her confidence had taken a hit because of that, because it had been quite a while that she'd been tolerating that state within herself. So when we got to work, she broke through a lot of her barriers and was able to dig deep and realise that being all of herself, imperfect, passionate, emotional sometimes, proud, there were strengths and weaknesses that she had, but embracing all of that and being able to step through and showing that to everybody in a way that felt good for her, had her feel so much more relaxed, feel free, feel connected, and feel like the leader that she really wanted to be. So it takes time, transformation takes time. This information that I give you is the first step. But what we want to do is we want to take information to transformation. And so this is the first step of that positive change that you want to make. So I know that you're here for a reason. I know that you're here because you want to have more courage to actually be seen. And I'm curious to hear later what that looks like for you. What's your version of really being seen? All right, so grab your journal, grab your pen, grab your cuppa, and we're going to get to work. Are you ready to get to work? Hope so. So the first question is, what does it mean to really be seen? So grab your journal and pen, and I'm going to ask you to write some notes. What does it actually mean to be seen? And so for me, when I'm reflecting on this topic, it's about being able to be present and not distracted by our worries about what people think, which can be difficult. But can we be present with our strengths and our weaknesses, or our gaps or opportunities for improvement, whatever you want to call it? Can we be present with all of that and still be there in that moment, in that conversation, in that presentation you might be giving, in that difficult conversation that you need to have, or that feedback you need to provide? Can you be present with all of yourself? Because when we can be present with all of ourselves and not get distracted with what our thoughts about what other people think, or how it's landing, or how they might be judging us, or how we're judging ourselves, then we can be there to serve others, and we can actually be listening in a whole new way. So having the courage to be seen, the first thing is actually being present with all of ourselves. That's not always easy, especially when a camera's pointing at you and you can't see anyone on the other side. Sometimes I go into my head too, but it's about quickly coming out as quickly as we can and then coming back to this space, yes? So there'll be times in your life where you're distracted by what's going on in your head and you're not really there. I know you've had that experience of someone else being like that with you, when you're talking to them and you're hoping that they're listening, but you know that they're somewhere else. And what is the impact in that communication or that conversation when that's going on? So if we can be present with all of ourselves, then we can give our full selves to that moment. And when we do that, then we're in greater service to others, yes? So that's the first thing from my perspective. I'm really interested to hear, what is it for you that is about being really seen? All right, so just so you know, I've got some notes here that I'm going to keep referring to because I want to keep myself on track. It's about owning our power, and I'm going to use this word, which is a really strong word, and our shame equally. Yeah? When we can own our full empowerment and also own where we're embarrassed or we feel shame, and often that can come from childhood or our experiences of the past. When we can own all of that, there's this quality of energy that we bring to our interactions, to our own life, to what we invest our time and energy in, that's not otherwise possible if we're disowning or numbing or running away from the things that we're not really happy about within ourselves. There's things that we sweep under the carpet and we try and move on from, and all with good intentions, but we know that they come back to bite us later, don't they? Whether that's through an outburst or a worry or we seem to repeating the same pattern, whether that's in relationship or a manager, that we keep attracting the same kind of manager but in a different set of clothes maybe. And so if we can own our whole story, our past experiences, our setbacks, the things that we've done that maybe we either regret or we think, I could have really done that better. And I know for myself there's lots of things like that I look back and I go, yeah, if I had have had the wisdom then, I did the best that I could at the time, but if I had have had the wisdom then I might have done it differently. And so that can bring that sense of shame sometimes. But if we can own all of that, then we're this powerhouse from the inside out. And there's no need to then put on a bravado jacket or a fake it till you make it, which is exhausting. Yeah? So that's the second thing. So make sure you're writing that down. The third thing is expressing ourselves authentically without justification. So expressing ourselves authentically without justification, that can be challenging, can't it? And I know for me sometimes one of my challenges is not wanting to be misunderstood. And so sometimes that can come in when I'm not expecting it and have me hold back from the message that I want to share. I second guess myself. I get very into perfectionism mode and change things and tweak things because I'm worried about how is this going to land, or are people actually going to get what I'm really trying to say? And at some point I just have to let go of that and trust that what I want to say is enough and does make a difference and will add value. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. But if it's a natural, authentic expression of me, then I can let that go and let it, whatever happens in the world, happens in the world as far as what I'm saying, yes? So expressing yourself authentically without justification is really, really important when it comes to having the courage to really be seen. So taking that down and starting to reflect on where are you maybe not giving yourself that permission, or you are expressing yourself authentically, even in relationship, but then you're justifying it or explaining it or proving why it's okay to feel that way or express that, yes? So jot that down. One of the next things is allowing ourselves to have our emotions without apology. And this one can be a challenging one too. Because as feminine beings or as women, what I've learned along my journey, and I'm still learning every day, is the power of our emotions. And disconnecting or disowning, disassociating ourselves from our emotions, we think is the right thing to do, especially in leadership and business. That there's no place for emotion in business, but that's just from history. That's just an old leadership model that we've been born into and adopted. The new way of leadership is leading with heart and head, with mind and body, with a full spectrum of ourselves, and that includes emotion and feeling. And when leaders start to learn how to embrace their emotions in a healthy way, and that's really important, in a healthy way, and have those emotions fuel connection and building trust, then they start to expand their influence in ways that they wouldn't be able to influence if they were denying their emotions. So allowing our emotions without apology is something that we need to learn. Because one of the things I know, and I've shared this with you before, is that women have shared with me, I'm told to not be so emotional at work, or to tone down, or to maybe go away and sort that out, the emotions, and then come back. And that just keeps us stuck, doesn't it? And so when we start to learn to feel, one of the things for women is to come back into our feeling body, because our feelings are our guidance and can let us know where we're triggered, what's going on in our mind. So then we can start to manage our emotions in a healthy way and then have them fuel our communication and connection. And that actually is really exciting because people relate to that and resonate with that and actually drawn into that even more, yeah? So allowing ourselves to be really seen is allowing our emotions without apology. And then the last one is embracing our strengths and weaknesses equally. I used to think that it wasn't okay. Sorry, James, I'll let you grab that. So I used to think it wasn't okay to I'll acknowledge and own where I'm things that I'm really bad at. But now I actually enjoy doing that. I enjoy saying to people, I'm really bad at that. And sometimes I actually say, I'm really crap at that. And it feels really fine to me because I know where I'm strong and I know where I can add value because I've had the experience, but I've also chosen to believe. And what I've discovered for myself and in coaching women for so many years is that when we choose to believe, something new becomes possible. If we choose to believe without evidence, just because we have this inner knowing, if we can tap into that inner knowing, then our life starts to catch up with that belief. So owning our strengths as well as our weaknesses is really, really important. Sometimes some women will say to me, yeah, I'm really good at owning my weaknesses, but not so good at owning where I'm good. I don't take praise very well. I don't take recognition very well. I kind of dismiss it. I don't allow acknowledgement in. When's the last time someone said to you, you look amazing, and you just went, yeah, thanks? Instead of going, oh no, I just got this, down there, it's on sale, and all of these excuses that we make. When was the last time you just said, yeah, I know, I feel amazing? So I encourage you to practice that and what that feels like. That can feel vulnerable, but it's where our power is. That's where we can connect with our true power. So I wanted to start the conversation with you today is, what does it mean to be seen? And if you've got thoughts or comments, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. I'm going to start to share some real examples with you in a moment. But if you'd like to add to that list, let me know. Just take a moment to have a look at that list. And I'm going to give you some real life examples in a moment, but some examples of what does it mean for you to really be seen. Really being seen might be being on a stage in front of 10,000 people and being present. That might be being seen for you. Being seen for you might be sharing your truth in your relationship. Being seen might be posting your first blog ever. There can be some fear and vulnerability in that. Being seen can be being a leader in these challenging times at the moment where there's so much uncertainty and everyone's looking to you for answers and that stability, and you're willing to say, I don't know right now. And for you, that's actually a moment of really being seen. So there's lots of different versions of what being seen means for us. What does it mean for you? I want to give you some examples and I want to hear from you what your being seen moments are. You might resonate with these, and I wanted to give you some real examples that I've experienced with women that I've coached because I think that you'll hear yourself in these. And so, one woman shared with me that she was going along with a group of her group of friends, and what they were saying and how they were reacting or acting or behaving, and what kind of quality their conversations were about, whether that was about other people or negatively about situations, and she was feeling like that didn't feel comfortable for her, but she wasn't speaking up and saying anything. So being seen for her was actually having the courage to say, you know what, this conversation doesn't feel good to me. I'm actually wanting to either change the subject or maybe I'll go and do something else. So that was what being seen for her was. So not being seen for someone was saying yes to more work and just taking on more and more back from her people, but not actually holding her people accountable or delegating in ways that could allow her to step into more strategy. So saying yes to more when it wasn't a good idea. Sometimes yes to more is a great idea, but if we're not doing it with discernment, then that can have us feel overwhelmed, can't it? And so therefore being seen is about saying, I'm okay to help you, I can do it at this time, or I think that you could probably take it this far and then come back to me once you've done that. So there's a whole different load of colleague conversations and questions that we can ask so that we're not taking this on and feeling like that we're not seen, yes? Because often what can happen is that we feel not seen, but we blame other people. We blame others for not appreciating us or not listening or not realising we're there or maybe feeling dismissed. When actually if we stop and reflect and go, well, who am I being that this is happening? Then we start to see what we're tolerating and maybe we shouldn't be because that's not working for us, yes? So I want you to be thinking of what your examples are of where you're holding yourself back and not being seen, because I know that there are, because that's why you're here, okay? I worked with a leader once who, really amazing woman, very, very well respected in her field, and speak on, in front of camera, on stage a lot. And there were times though that she felt that she was taking up more space than she was worthy of, than she deserved. So when there was more than her on stage, how big should I be? How big should I let myself be in my energy? And so there was that quality of, where can I let myself be seen here? Because I'm not sure what I should be taking away from someone else when actually she wasn't doing that at all, yes? So being on stage and giving ourselves space, and whether that stage is in front of a meeting of 3 people, yes? And other one I want to give you is, let me see, being polite, not to cause conflict, but actually then feeling resentful, yes? And I know this is a big one for many women, is that we'll dance around it, or we'll try and be nice or fix it for people, or we'll create workarounds that end up just taking so much of our time and energy, rather than lean into a difficult conversation and bring our full presence. There's other women of us who actually love difficult conversations, but it can be from a dominant perspective and people don't feel safe to actually speak their mind. So that's not effective either. So being able to be seen is, can I, as I said earlier, be present in these difficult conversations, not be polite and not be dominant. So moving from being polite to being present is about being seen. So I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts about where you're not allowing yourself to be seen and what being seen actually looks like for you? So in the chat box, type in a couple of comments. What does being seen actually mean to you? So take a moment to think about that. All right, Georgie, we've got a comment or two, I believe. What are some comments about what it's like to be seen and where people want to be seen?
Okay, we have Meredith, who says, I want to be heard, validated and supported.
Yeah.
I want my boundaries respected.
Yes.
Zara says, saying yes to too much.
So boundaries respected is what being seen means.
And heard and validated.
And being heard and validated. And what area, Meredith, what area of your life is that in? Is that at work? Is that in a personal area? What else, Georgie?
And she also goes on to say, I can be too nice so I don't hurt people's feelings.
Yes.
And in response to your question, she said everywhere.
Everywhere, yes, okay.
Zara says, saying yes to too much.
And saying yes to too much. Let me put that here. So not being seen is saying yes to too much. So what is the opposite of that? What is being seen? So if I was coaching you and you said, and I asked you what being seen means to you, and you said not being something or saying yes to too much, that's not being seen. What does being seen mean then? If it's not that, what is it? Because if we can focus on actually what it is that we do want, that's a different energy to trying to get away from what we don't want, yes? So saying yes to too much kind of comes back to the being polite. So this is not being seen. What does being seen mean? Yeah? Georgie?
Okay, we have Monica, being seen, taking my time, sharing in conversations with friends. I tend to hurry up and say what I need to say.
Right. Oh, yes. So that's not being seen, is like a hurry up to get to the end. Is that how I'm understanding it? So then being seen is being relaxed and speaking more slowly, maybe considering what you want to say and holding space for yourself. So if there's silence while you think through what you want to say and just allow people to listen, that can be a state of vulnerability too, isn't it? Because everyone's looking at us. And sometimes that's probably why I speak fast, is I'm trying to get a lot out. But also I'm, wanting to fill the space sometimes. So can we just stop and relax and let the silence and let people be looking at us while we process? Very good, I love that. What else?
Accepting praise with grace and not brushing it aside.
Yes, accepting praise. Sorry about that black. I'm hoping you can see it. I've discovered that the blue works better. Accepting praise. Yes, what else? What was?
Okay, Nari says, that resonates with me when you said some people like the difficult conversations because you can come from a dominant position. Must remember that.
Yes. So, Nairi, have a look in my ebook, and if you don't have it, reach out to me, because in my ebook for Women in Leadership, I write about this pendulum swing between submissive or being nice and then swinging to being dominant or trying to push because we're sick of being nice. So we all have this pendulum swing, and we all start on one either side. Some of us are more dominant, some of us are more nice, but then when we have enough of that, we swing to the opposite side, and it can be exhausting. So there's a lot about that particular, what you've just shared, in the ebook. Keep going, Georgie.
Also being available, so I beg your pardon, being able to say no and not feel guilty.
Yes. No and not feel guilty. Anyone had that experience with their mother? I certainly have. I've worked through that, and now I get to do that mostly. Every now and again I still feel guilty, but I've done significant work on that area of my life. No and not feeling guilty. Amazing. Yes. What else?
Being available at times that work for me so that I can be present rather than being available in times that I don't need as often.
So good. And that can come back to work hours too, can't it? When am I available? When am I not available? When am I available to friends or family? When does it no longer work for me? I know that women have shared with me through this experience we've had over the last few months how we've had to, we've been in lockdown, our lifestyle has changed, our social life has changed, and where they might have been on automatic before with kids and friends and doing all the do and filling up their weekends, now they're actually reflecting and going, what do I actually want? I do want some space. I do want some silence. I do want some time for me. And I love that awakening. And it's taken a bit to wake us up sometimes, and that can happen. But what I'm passionate about is that we stay awake now, awake and choose what we want with conscious awareness, yes? Very good. So being available at the times that work for me. And what you'll find is that you'll just work around it. It'll just work out. Often we think we have to be there all the time for everyone or for everything. And then we get resentful because we get exhausted and we feel like people are drawing on our energy all the time. When actually we've got to take responsibility for where we're not setting our boundaries and honouring them. Very good. A couple more and then I need to move on.
Okay, I'll just go quickly because there's a common theme here. But speaking up, even when difficult to get a word in, believe what I have to say matters.
Yes. So believing, I'm just going to repeat this in case you can't hear Georgie, believing what I say matters. Yes?
Say no.
So how many times have we spoken up and then kind of towards the end we've, either gone a bit more quiet or we've shrunk in our body language or something's changed in us because we make a decision that people aren't really listening, or we're trying to tell a joke and it's not funny, or something's happening and we gauge people's reactions, so we change how we're speaking or change how we're presenting. So believing what I say is important. Yeah?
Say no and not have to explain why.
Yes.
We're getting a lot of this is good.
Yes, we're resonating with this.
And not being seen, not getting space in a conversation. Often I need to interrupt just to get the space to contribute in a conversation at work.
Yes. It seems like there's a few people saying that thing as well, is that I don't feel like there's space for me. This is really, really important, and one important area for leaders to be aware of is the different communication styles of different people, and knowing that to a depth where we can create space for people or draw people in different ways, but often people feel frustrated because there isn't space for them to step forward. And if that's true for you, then your job is to learn how to influence behaviour of others so that then you can, because it's not about forcing. Sometimes when we go, there's no space, and then I just have to I'm sick of this, I'm going to force my opinion in, then that's not well received either, is it? That's when we start to get labelled as, bossy or all sorts of different things. And while those labels aren't true, our leadership brand is something that we need to create on purpose and with intention and awareness. And so understanding why that's happening for you, and then understanding why other people aren't listening or you perceive them as not listening or not giving you space, that's really important. So those are the depths of human behaviour that in leadership it's really important to understand and will help you with all of this. I hope that makes sense. Okay, apparently, we're good? Sorry, apparently I'm not taking a moment just to address myself. Apparently I'm getting caught on the microphone. So if that continues, James, I'll take the scarf off. So I hope you're hearing me clearly. This is really amazing sharing, so thank you so much. Okay, so what I want to do now is actually look at where we are now. So, and I think you've probably come up with some of these already. In here, I'm going to do something different, but in here, what's not being seen? So where we want to be is here. Yes? We want to be able to speak up and have ourselves be heard. We want to feel like that we can set our time frames. We don't have to be available to everyone all the time. We want to be able to accept praise and receive it and enjoy it. We want to have our boundaries be respected. We want to be able to own our strengths and weaknesses. All of this is what we want, yes? So I want you to imagine that this is your future. This is where you're going. So then we want to look at, well, where are we now? So where am I now? In the area that I wanted to bring to this session to work on, or the general area, whether that's work or home. Where am I now, in what area? And also, what does it feel like to not being seen? So what's not being seen? Yes, so that's being seen. This is not being seen. Yes, makes sense? How am I going with the mic, James? Is that all right? Okay. So what's not being seen? I'm struggling here a little bit with the space. I'm hoping if I move that will be okay. All right. So kind of what we've just said. So I'm just going to put these quickly on the board. Going along with the group. Not speaking up. Looking for other people's affirmation. Yes? Being available all the time. This is the not being seen that we're talking about before. And remember, and see how when I was asking you what is being seen, when I asked you about what is being seen, often we can go automatically to what the not is. So that's why I want to make that distinction for you. We want to be clear on what we do want, and we want to be clear on what we don't want. So that's why I want to make sure that there's this contrast for you. So getting really clear about the what is, where I'm moving toward, and really clear about what I don't want anymore, yes? So you get the flavour of that, don't you? Let me just see if there's any in here that I haven't put up. I've got so many because I went through all the women that I was thinking of in the last 12 months or so and what their version of not being seen was, and I made some notes on that. Allowing past insecurities to inform current decisions. Yeah. That's not being seen. If I'm bringing my past and the fears and the insecurities from the past and dumping them in my future, I'm just hiding behind them. I'm just using those reasons to not be courageous and step forward. They feel true and they feel valid, yes? But they're not our full self. They're not this state, are they? And so if I'm allowing past insecurities to inform me, I'm never going to get to that. I'm just going to keep working hard trying to get to that and blaming everyone else for not seeing me and not honouring my boundaries, when actually what I'm doing is I'm bringing past insecurities into my present and my future, yes? So we need to start to be aware of what we're doing here. I'm hoping this is making sense. Give me some thumbs up in the comments so I know. And this is one of the things I said was not saying what you really want to say because you don't want to be misunderstood. Yeah. Putting everyone else first is not being seen. So that can be children, that can be family, that can be team, all of that, putting others first. And then, because we don't take care of that ourselves and really look for ourselves, and where we're not establishing what we need to establish to be respected, we then blame other people. They should appreciate me more, or if it wasn't for them, I'd have more time. Yep. So these are the things that's not being seen. I think we're making the point. Yes. All right. So, any other comments, Georgie, or are we good to keep going?
We've got somebody saying being okay to express our own thoughts and ideas without worrying to fit the status quo.
Yes, expressing your own thoughts and ideas without worrying about fitting in. So fitting in is here, yes? Not being seen That's fitting in. Being who you want to be authentically is here. And we dance in these spaces all day, every day, don't we? There's not, I'm just always here and I'm just amazingly free all the time. As part of being human is that we are bringing those thoughts from the past, our fears, our insecurities, our inauthenticities, our judgments of ourselves and others into the future all the time. And it's becoming more awake is the point, so that you can keep letting them go and stepping further into this, yes? Anything else? Are we good?
And feeling you have to justify yourself.
Yes. So I want you to hear your language when we say things like feeling I have to justify myself, feeling that I need to be polite, feeling that people aren't hearing me or respecting my boundaries. Consider that that's a push out energy and we're wanting other people to change for us to feel okay. And that's what most of us do. When I'm challenging you to actually start to reflect on who am I being, what do I need to deal with within myself where I'm holding myself back. So that is a state of empowerment. We can't control anyone else, yes? We need to come back to ourselves. All right, so comment?
Yeah, I've just got one more, which
Yes.
is a really good one. Not being seen is overthinking what you want to say too much, that you don't speak up.
Yeah, very good. Over-analysing, overthinking. How many times do we have a conversation, make a presentation, have a meeting, and then that night or the next day or for the next week, we analyse ourselves. What I should have said, what I did say, that didn't go well. So many times we do that. All of us do that at some level, yes? And so that is not being seen. One of the things that I've been practicing myself is delivering and then going away and forgetting about it and not analysing it so much. Oh my goodness, over-analysing brain. And so that's a great practice to have. I've found so much freedom in that and so much space and inner confidence, even more so in that. So having your conversation with whoever you want to have it with and then let it go. Practice that and see what you'll create from an energy perspective and a real sense of confidence within yourself. Groovy. All right, so take a moment to write down any more on where you want to be and where you might be now, and then I'm going to give you something that's going to help you. Okay, we're good? All right, so there's other examples in here women have shared with me. One woman shared she was working in her business with her husband and he was doing all the front work and she wanted to be part of the face of the brand as well, but she could see that she was holding herself back. Another woman shared with me that she had a leader who was quite a micromanager, but also a dominant personality. And so she would always give over to that and then she would lose respect for herself and then feel overwhelmed with the work that she had to do. There's so many examples over examples of where we don't allow ourselves to be seen. And so first I want to give you, and where will I write it? Here. What's the impact? What's the impact on you of not allowing yourself to be seen? So some of the things for me when I don't allow myself to be seen is I'm really frustrated with myself. If only I had given myself permission in that moment, yes, to be all of who I was in that moment. I'm confused about what's the next step or how do I create the result that I want to create. I'm disappointed in myself. I'm feeling disconnected. What are the impacts for you when you're here, when you're not letting yourself be seen in the area of life that's really important to you? What's the impact on you? Tell me in the chat box. What you got? What does it feel like? Some other ones are exhausted. What does it feel like when you're not letting yourself be seen? I'm waiting. Go.
We have demotivated,
Demotivated.
not feeling like fit in,
Don't feel like I fit in. Yep.
deflated, low energy.
So what does not fitting in feel like though? What does that feel like for you? Go ahead, George.
Okay, we've got, okay. Wow, they're coming in thick and thin. Sorry, deflated, low energy.
Thick and thin.
Undervalued.
Deflated, low energy, undervalued, stressed,
not feeling supported.
not feeling supported.
Oh, feeling bound, carrying chains.
Yeah, wow.
Okay.
Feeling bound. Yeah, I really feel that. That's a strong one, isn't it?
Frustrated,
Frustrated,
small and invisible.
small. Yeah. And here's the thing. We're going from invisible to visible, yes? What I'm calling power gap to powerful. Do you like that? I like that. Wait. So this is where we've got a power gap. And when I talk about power, it's not about power over people. It's a state of empowerment from the inside out. So this is our power gap. This is our powerful. Yes? Go ahead, Georgie.
Okay, Robin, not worthy, misunderstood.
Yeah, not worthy.
And in response to the question earlier
Yeah.
about not fitting in from Vicky, it says not being part of a connected relationship. That's what she means by that.
Yes, and what does that feel like, Vicky? What does that feel like? Because those insights are really great. But I want to know from you, what does that feel like for you when you're in that state? Is that feeling alone? Yeah, it can feel like that for me sometimes. What else? Anything else?
Inadequate, not perfect.
Wow, inadequate. Isn't that a powerful word? I feel inadequate. When have you in your life felt inadequate? That's a really strong word, and I think that's very insightful. Well, I think we've all felt like that at some point, yes? It's not a nice feeling, is it? So I really want for you to find within yourself that space of a full feeling of so much more than adequate, yes? Amazing sharing. What else?
We have not purposeful.
Not purposeful.
Shut down.
Okay, now those who know me, if you're new here, I apologise for my writing. Those who know me know I write like this. Go ahead. Not purposeful.
Not purposeful.
Yeah.
Shut down.
Shut down.
Low self-esteem.
Yes.
This one's powerful. Give up, can't be bothered.
Yes. Oh, yes. And so we have that lethargy start to creep in, don't we? And then it starts to get harder to get out of bed, and then we need more coffee, and then we need more stimulants, and then we need more and more and more. And it just becomes, what I would call a flatline life. Now, I'm not accusing any of you or me of having a flatline life, but there are moments, aren't there, that we flatline. And it's this stuff, it's this that we're doing to ourselves. And we think because we don't know any different that it's outside of ourselves and that something or someone else has to change so we can feel like this. But no, it's not that. It's within us. So, all right, I'm going to have to stop and move on. What's my time check, Georgie?
Okay, we've got 15 minutes left.
Okay, great.
Just one more. Can I tell you about the
Georgie's-
feeling? No, there's heaps more.
Yes.
But the feeling from Vicky is...
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, is always going deeper, Karen. Heavy feeling.
Heavy,
all
yeah.
the body aches.
Yeah. So wanting you to connect with that feeling of why, what are those things that you had that what was Vicky shared earlier? Vicky, what did you share earlier?
Fitting in. Yeah.
Not fitting in, yes. Yes, that's the thing, but what's the feeling? This is for everyone. That's the thing, not fitting in. What does it actually feel like? That's when we can start to really tap into change, positive change, yes? All right, so now I want to give you a new piece of paper in your notebook, and I want to give you a way out. A way out of here into here. Now, I know it seems small, but it's actually much bigger than this. Okay, so where we want to go is powerful, yes? So this axis is about being visible, and this is about being invisible. This axis is about acceptance, self-acceptance, and this is about judgment, self-judgment, yes? So when we're accepting ourselves fully, all of that, and we're allowing ourselves to be visible in the ways that we want to, then we're in a state of being powerful. Yep. And in a state of being powerful, where some things from there, present, self-trusting, joyful, free, yeah. We're unlocking the potential of others. We're focused. You with me? So that's here. When we're accepting of ourselves, our strengths and weaknesses, our shame and our power, when we're present with all of ourselves, when we're authentically expressing ourselves without justification, that's that state, yes? However, if we're here, we want to be moving into here, but I'm going to share with you, that one goes there, right? So this state here, if we're invisible and we're judging ourselves, I'm calling that paralyzed. So if we're invisible and judging ourselves, we're in a state of paralysis. And that's angry, all these things. Frustration, resentful, jealous even. And you might have seen on my one of my posts, who does she think she is? That jealousy. I felt it before. And I think, oh my goodness, Karen, that's disgusting. Why are you feeling like that? And then I have to get straight with myself, that I'm not giving myself permission in that moment to be all that I can be, and I'm judging someone else that she's giving herself permission. So whenever we feel like that, we have to look inside and go, well, amazing that she's being amazing. Where am I not letting myself be that, yes? And tired, right? So if we're judging ourselves and also not allowing ourselves to be seen, as opposed to not being seen, does that make sense? Invisible, judging, we're in a state of paralysis. So there'll be areas in your life, whether in the past or even now, that you might be in this state. And it's the first place is to acknowledge, the first place is self-awareness. Am I actually here? Am I judging myself and keeping myself invisible? If I'm allowing myself to be visible but I'm still judging myself, then I'm usually in a state of trying to prove myself. So I might be out in the world, allowing myself to do all the things I really want to do, but I'm still judging myself. So it's usually I'm going to be in either a push energy, because I'm still out doing those things, but I'm actually not feeling authentically confident. So I'm calling that a state of proving. And when we're proving, we're distracted by worrying, because we're worrying what people think of us. Am I doing it right? All of those things, because we're still in judgment, yes? We're over-analysing, like we said before. We're pushing or pleasing. I know you're getting this. I know, so that's why I'm not too concerned about the writing. Distracted, yes? Give me a thumbs up in the chat. Make sure that you're getting this. I want to make sure it's resonating for you. And also, this state of proving is when I'm attached to my identity. I'm attached to the thing that I've created over my lifetime, called this personality, that gets me results or has me win in life or has me feel safe or okay, yes? So it's this facade that we wear, and we're so used to wearing it, we just put it on every day as we walk out the door. Not feeling so good, right? The other place here, when we're invisible but we're starting to accept ourselves, we could be in two states. We're either preparing for being powerful, or we're pretending that we're accepting when actually we're not, we're still judging, yes? So if we're still a bit invisible, but we're starting to accept ourselves and start to do the inner work, which you're doing. If you've been back over time to these webinars, and now you're asking me, how do I implement? You're starting to do this work, yes? So you're starting to move into this state of being visible and accepting. So you're either preparing, which means what I want you to do is take action, but make it aligned action with who you want to be. You're starting to believe, and you're starting to be courageous. Yeah? But if you're pretending, what I mean by that is you're invisible, so you're not letting yourself be seen. You think you're in accepting when actually not, you're still judging. I'm calling that pretending, yes? So you might say, well, I think I'm great, but I'm still not feeling seen. Well, then I'm calling that pretending, because what you need to do now is the inner work of where you're holding yourself back as opposed to where you think other people aren't seeing you, yes? So pretending is about I'm waiting for perfection. I'm unclear about who I am and where I want to go, I'm still in hoping, and I'm in a state of being unintentional. Yes? So do you get this piece here? This is a nuance. Because when I was thinking about being invisible and accepting, I'm like, yeah, we could either be authentically preparing for this, or we could actually be pretending and denying that we're actually still doing this, the judging, yes? So that's up for you to decide. If you're still being invisible, am I in preparing or am I in pretending? I hope that makes sense. Is that cool? So choose where you might be in any area of your life. You'll be here in some areas, or even a lot of areas. But the reason you came here today will be because you're in one of these other areas. Proving, paralysed, or preparing and pretending. So I'm going to give you a moment. James is going to zoom in on this writing and hopefully you'll understand it. Choose where you are. How many minutes have I got?
We have 10 minutes.
Okay, so I'm hoping that you've chosen, and just choose one area of your life. This isn't a full analysis of our lives, this is just a practice, yes? So choose one area where you might be improving, paralysed, or preparing, pretending. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the chat box if you'd like to share. You can just share the word, if you like. Are you improving? Are you in paralysed? Are you in preparing or pretending? Let me know.
I'm in the preparing corner.
Yep.
I'm pretending.
Yes.
And proving.
Yes.
And a lot of people are resonating with this and loving it.
Great. And I love where you could, when I heard that pretending, maybe you thought you were in preparing, but actually now you can see that, actually, you know what? I'm still judging myself, or actually I'm still holding myself back and I'm blaming other people, potentially. We all do it. What else?
I've also got preparing while I'm pretending.
Yes. I love that. Yeah.
And flipping between preparing and pretending.
Yeah, so flipping back and forth.
But I can swing in between.
I love that nuance, and very insightful if you've caught yourself there. Okay, cool. All right. Any other comments, let me know. I'm going to rub this off and give you one last thing. This is like, okay, great, Karen. Well, now I'm in here. What do I do now? And as you know, these webinars are about information. So we need to move information into transformation, and what that takes is practice. There's no getting around it. We can sit on any webinar or read any book or look at any meme on social and go, oh yeah, or we can provide any advice to our friends. But unless we're doing the work ourselves, it doesn't count for transformation. It's just information, high quality information, but you need to start to move it now into practice, and that's where the courage comes in, yes? And that's where it starts. We have to start letting go of others and actually doing the work for ourselves and realising where we're holding ourselves back. Cool? All right. Which bit will I rub off? I'm going to rub off this bit. Okay. We did talk about, so how are people feeling? How is this helpful? Are you feeling like you've got some new information that can help you move forward? Or are you feeling, oh my God, I feel worse now than I did when I got on the webinar this morning? And that's okay, we've got a little bit longer to go. Georgie?
I do have one question.
Yeah.
Where did we go? Okay. With some people I'm paralysed, with others I'm powerful. How do I consistently be powerful?
Yes. And so it's interesting, some people I'm paralysed, some people I'm powerful. Is it people or situations? Some people are, yeah.
Some people.
And so this is a great insight, because we start to then listen for what are the triggers, because there'll be things that are triggered within you that keep you here. And it'll be someone says, what their energy is, how they react to you. And it's got nothing to do with them, by the way. We always think it's the other person. It's got nothing to do with them. It's everything that's triggered within you. And so when we say, oh, we get along better with these people than these people, well, sure, we all have preferences about the type of people we like to connect with and mingle with. But if you're in a working environment, we usually don't get a choice of who we get to work with. We're always going to be dealing with different people, whether that's clients, colleagues, co-workers, stakeholders. So if you're paralysed, it's because something's triggered you. And when you say, I want to be more and powerful, fabulous, you've got to get really aware now of the thoughts going in your head about what's actually why you're going into paralysis, yes? I've got 5 minutes, I need to move. All right, so these last 3 things are a part of how do I now move out. And as I said to you, I can only give you a little bit of how, because the how comes from you practicing and implementing and then coming back to me with questions. I'm going to tell you about that in a sec. So the first thing is awareness. Just like that example right then, being aware when I'm paralysed, aware when I'm powerful, being aware of why am I paralysed, what's going on in my head, yes? So being honest, this is about honesty. What's really going on inside me? The next one is say yes, right? Being aware and say yes, try something. Try something about, okay, I'm paralysed with this kind of person, I'm going to try and be present and actually notice what comes up in my mind and have a conversation with them anyway. You know what to do. It's about letting yourself do it, yes? So I've got to say yes and practice something. Practice something new, yes? Letting go of your opinions, letting go of your judgments, moving into being visible, trying something, moving from judgment to acceptance. So acting in the face, courage, yeah? Acting in the face of fear. Most of us are waiting for the fear to go before we act. And then keep realigning. So being aware, honest with myself, where am I? Practice something new. Okay, how can I go from proving to powerful? How can I stop worrying? How can I stop trying to prove myself? The first thing is aware that I'm doing it. The second is catching myself in the moment and then practicing something new. And the third one is realigning. Realigning to the state of this. Remember I said at the start, you've got to get more in love with this and where you want to go as opposed to where you want to get away from. Remember I asked you, where do you want to be? And most of you were saying, I don't want this. So you're very clear on what you don't want. And most people are clear on what they don't want. You actually need to be clear on what you do want and start to live into that more. You'll notice if you start to practice this, that your thoughts are more about the past, worrying about the past, scared of the future, rather than actually creating your future on purpose. All right, so as you know, the webinars are information. I'm opening up accountability webinars, as I shared with you in the last session. And those accountability webinars are going to be you're out there practicing and you come to me with your questions. There'll be no information. There'll be just you asking your questions and me answering them. I'm calling them Ask Me Anything accountability sessions. The first one is next Friday. And it's the first one, let me just rub this off for a second, is Friday, next Friday from 1 till 2, I think, p.m. 1 to 1:45 p.m, right? So it's Ask Me Anything about any of the webinars. Ask Me Anything, accountability session, dial in, bring your questions. So go out and practice. Just all I want you to do is to practice where you are at the moment. Just start to know and get a feel for where am I. So people have been asking me, right, I love this, Karen, but it's information. How do I now get some practice with this and how do I start to now work with you a bit more? So I said to you last session, they're going to be under $100. Well, they are under $100. They're zero because I want you to start to practice and I want you to have access to someone being able to answer your questions if that's you want that to be me. So come back, the Eventbrite thing will be up today. Come back with your questions, 1 to 1:45 next Friday, Ask Me Anything. The next step is my one-on-one coaching. And that there is for women who are ready to do the deep dive and want an accountability partner. And it's a 6-month journey. That is transformation. That is when we turn the work into action and you have a partner working with you side by side, supporting you to implement all of this and more. And in all of my programs, women get more than they bargained for, in a good way. So if you're interested in that, send me an email, pop it in the chat box, and we can have a conversation. I always have a no obligation conversation because I need to determine if you're ready for the work that I do, because not everyone's ready for the deep dive, and you need to determine if I'm the right fit for you as well. So we always have that no obligation conversation and then decide from there, or you go away and think about it. But if you want more information, we have to have a chat. Yes? All right, I hope this has been helpful. Big session again, lots of information, but now you've got to go and practice. Your first practice is knowing where you are, and then start to try something new. And then realign yourself with the future that is really important to you. Stop waiting for others to change and start taking on that responsibility for self and moving forward in a state of self-leadership and self-awareness. Yeah? So those are the things that you need to do. Be honest with yourself and aware. Try something new from today and other sessions that we've been on, and then keep realigning to the future that you want. All right, I hope that's been helpful. Let me know in the chat box if it is. And also, I'm going to be looking back through your questions and your comments to see what's the next topic. What else do you want to know? How else can I support you? I've loved this session. I've loved being with you. Go away and reflect on your notes, and I look forward to seeing you soon. We'll keep the chat box open for a couple of minutes, so share your questions and thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. I love all of your comments. I'll see you next time. Bye.